History generally follows a predictable logic. When a civilization is completely overmatched by a superior military force, its identity eventually vanishes. This was the fate of Babylon, the Hittites, and the Assyrians. After their capitals fell and their armies were scattered, these peoples dissolved into the genetic and cultural melting pot of the ancient world. For millennia, the world's most ambitious empires ignored this predictable historical precedent and marched relentlessly onto the Iranian plateau. Macedonian phalanxes under Alexander the Great, Roman legions, Arab armies carrying a new religion, and the Mongol hordes of Genghis Khan all swept through these lands. Experiencing this many catastrophic invasions typically wipes a nation off the map forever. But Iran became the exception. Instead of disappearing, the Iranians repeatedly managed to absorb their conquerors. Cultural absorption requires a pre-existing identity so deeply rooted that it remains intact even when its political structures collapse. This ancient clay cylinder from the 23rd century BC records a treaty between Elam and the Akkadian king Naram-Sin. It represents the first documented instance of international diplomacy, showing that a complex Iranian state was functioning on the world stage alongside the giants of Mesopotamia. Between the 20th and 15th centuries BC, nomadic Indo-European tribes settled on the plateau. They called themselves Aryans, the noble, and named the land Iran. Their most effective tool of preservation turned out to be Zoroastrianism, a radical new ideology born in these harsh mountains and deserts. Zoroastrianism taught that the universe was an uncompromising battleground between the transcendent god of light and order and the spirit of absolute evil and lies. This religion mapped evil geographically to the nomadic steppes to the north, framing the Iranian people as warriors of light with a unified, sacred purpose. This faith also changed how humans perceive existence by declaring that time does not move in a meaningless circle, but in a straight line. History had a distinct beginning, an ongoing battle between light and dark, and an inevitable final judgment. This shared sense of cosmic purpose birthed the Achaemenid Empire, history's first superpower. The first major test came in 330 BC, when Alexander the Great crushed the Persian army and burned their magnificent capital, Persepolis, to the ground. But within years, the Greek victors began wearing Persian clothes and adopting the very court etiquette they had just overthrown. A second, more severe test arrived in the 7th century, when the Arab Caliphate conquered the state and introduced Islam. While other conquered regions were permanently Arabized, the Farsi language survived in Iran, and the new Arab rulers soon became dependent on Persian bureaucrats and scholars to run their empire. The loss of a central government is survivable if you can integrate your own methods of administration and language into the new regime's foundation. The most apocalyptic threat arrived with Genghis Khan and Tamerlane, who slaughtered entire cities and famously erected pyramids from severed human skulls. They destroyed ancient irrigation systems, intending to turn a 5,000-year-old civilization into a simple pasture for nomadic herds. In a startling turn of events, these fearsome conquerors abandoned their nomadic traditions within generations, adopting the Persian language and the Islamic faith. The descendants of these invaders ended up funding a massive Persian Renaissance, commissioning the intricate tile work and grand architecture that defines the region today. The Iranian cultural code successfully converted history's deadliest invaders, turning them into patrons and protectors of the very society they intended to erase. By the early 20th century, the nation faced a new kind of crisis, effectively carved into spheres of influence by British and Russian colonial powers. In 1935, Reza Shah Pahlavi issued a formal directive to all foreign embassies, demanding a shift in how the world identified the country. For centuries, the West used the name Persia, a term associated in Europe with exoticism and fairy tales. Reza Shah insisted on the country's true name, Iran. Decades of political interference and modernization efforts eventually culminated in the 1979 Islamic Revolution, which saw the monarchy fall and relations with the West severed. Today, this history has created a strange duality. In the global imagination, Persia represents a mythic era of poetry and grand empires, while Iran is synonymous with modern geopolitical tension. Despite these two distinct perceptions, this is the same land, powered by the same resilient cultural engine. Iran's history suggests that true power is not found in military dominance, but in a cultural gravity so strong that it pulls even its conquerors into its own orbit. Over 5,000 years, the nation has shown that while you can lose a battle, you can still win history by simply outlasting your enemies.